Okay, could you just do a little clap? All right, action.
All right.
Okay, so this is gonna be a really chill conversation.
Yeah.
Just gonna ask a bunch of different questions. First off, if you could just introduce yourself for the camera.
Yeah. My name is Bill Yun. I'm a first-year medical student here at Stanford and a classmate of Eric's. That's me.
Awesome.
Should I say more?
Yeah, you're good. If you like, go for it.
Okay. I grew up in Washington, Seattle, Washington. I am the third eldest of 8 children, so a really large family. We also have 10 chickens, so sometimes we call ourselves a family of 20. And I went to the University of Washington. I studied molecular biology and psychology, and then also minored in global health. And during that time, I was like, I really want to do medicine. I really want to be able to help out families like my own. And so decided to apply to medical school, and now I'm here, going to second year.
Okay, so Bill, the first question we have for you is, what got you initially interested in medicine?
Yeah, so for some backstory, I grew up the third eldest of 8 children, so a very large family. And it was an immigrant family. My parents immigrated here from China, and so they weren't the most well off. And so that combined with like just having a very large family led to some struggles with accessing healthcare. And so I think that meant that growing up, I was the caregiver for my 5 younger siblings. I would always be taking care of them if something went wrong. We were a little bit reluctant to seek out care just because of the financial strains on my family. And so because of that, I got used to just being in this role of a caregiver, and I realized that that was something that I wanted to do in the future. And so then in high school, I started to like go out into my community and try to find ways to be a caregiver for others and just like explore more of like what ways I could be a caregiver, right? Like what careers had that in it. And I landed on volunteering at a free clinic. And that was really nice because I saw immediately all these different roles, whether it was like nurses, patient navigators, CNAs, physicians especially, who served in this role of a caregiver. And so I knew then that like I wanted to do something within healthcare or medicine. I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do in it. And I also knew I wanted to do something with science because I was really interested in like understanding why we had these diseases and like how we could create these cures for them. And so when I went to college at the University of Washington, I started studying molecular biology, and I quickly joined a lab that was studying molecular biology, specifically like genetic variation in fruit flies. And so this was all very new to me, this whole research landscape, applying like the scientific method to these research questions. But I really enjoyed it. I loved the, sort of iterative nature of research, and I loved like the learning curve involved with it. And I feel like what I enjoyed the most was actually just like the potential for the research questions to create cures and like innovate in healthcare. And so sort of like combining, that caregiving side of myself to also like this science-minded researcher side of myself, I saw that like maybe a physician was the right choice for me. That was something that I saw especially embodied in the role of physician. And so I started shadowing more. I shadowed some amazing physicians at the free clinic I volunteered at and also at the University of Washington's Medical Center. And I saw both those roles, the role of a caregiver and also a researcher, but also like the roles of like advocacy, service, just a lifelong learner, teacher, just all those also within being a physician. I realized that like I also really liked those as well. Like I loved seeing that like merging of all those. And so I think from like just seeing my experiences at the free clinic growing up and then also shadowing and research, that all led me on this path to being a physician. And I can say now, here at Stanford and now past the first year of med school, that like I think I did make the right choice, and all the roles that I saw in a physician and that led me to coming on this path, they're still ones I'm so passionate about and that I want to continue exploring. And I know that I have so much to learn, so it's incredible that I get to be exploring this passion of mine and building on it still here. Yeah.
So if you could please describe for us, Bill, the type of doctor that you would like to see.
Yeah. I think there's one that comes to mind, and he is one of the physicians that often volunteered at the free clinic that I volunteered at in Seattle. He's someone who, I think if I did like describe him in a sentence, someone who sees his patients as family and treats them as family. I think the best way I can give you an example of that is when I first was shadowing with him and he had me meet one of his patients, and he didn't say, oh, this is, my patient X. He said, this is my friend X. And I think just like that from there set the foundation for the person that he really was, and that's someone who sees his patients as someone who is a friend and treats them like, he's not a physician, trying to telling them what to do, but helping them in this journey, this medical journey of theirs. And so I worked with him, and every single time he would stay with the patient, he would spend as long as the patient wanted, and he would really walk them through like every single aspect of their journey, sitting down with them beyond what I think was expected. And certainly, in the busy free clinic that we had, it was often like going over the recommended times we had for appointments. But it was really heartwarming to see, and I think the patients came out appreciating him so much more because, you're going to a clinic and you're scared of what the lab might reveal or what the doctor might tell you in that visit. And he's always someone who's just so comforting. He'll just take the time to sit down and say, I'm here with you, we're going to get through this together. And so I think that's the type of physician I want to see, knowing that like anytime you go into the exam room, it's such a vulnerable environment and you don't know what's going to happen in that case. And so having that guiding person in the exam room, I think, is something that I would want to see as my physician. And that's also a physician that I would want to be, wherever I am in the future, in 10 years, just someone who knows my community really well and is able to treat my patients like family. And when when they come in, just be like, oh, that's my friend, that's not my patient, but that's my friend. And so I think that's the type of physician I would want to see, and also that's the one that I'm currently trying to learn how to be.
So one follow-up question I have is, you mentioned trying to be a physician that really develops that strong emotional relationship connection with patients in a really therapeutic and supportive way. What are maybe some steps or practices that you've tried to take throughout your medical school journey right now in order to kind of achieve that?
I think the steps that I found most impactful to really trying to learn how to build that empathetic connection is, I think, just talking with people. That's something that I think I really tried to grow in college, was trying to talk to as many different patients as possible and learn their stories, because I think that empathy isn't having the same experience as someone and being able to connect over that, but more so just being open to understanding everyone else's experiences. I know that I won't have the same experiences as my patient, and I'm not trying to, only treat the same patients that have the same background as me. I hope to treat like every single patient, but rather use my skills of empathy to connect with them regardless of their background. No matter how different we are, I hope to connect with them. So I think the way that I try to build that empathy is just by talking to as many patients, as many classmates, as many faculty as I can, and learn their stories. And I think by building the relationships with them, I'm then able to learn how to connect with my future patients better. So, I, again, have no idea where I'm going to be in 10 years, but I know that the patients I'm going to see are going to have vastly different experiences than me. And I hope that by, in this first year of medical school, talking with my incredible classmates and talking with the patients that I've been able to see here, I'm hopefully building the skills that will help me build these trusting relationships with patients in the future.
All right, Bill. So the next question we'd like to ask you is, Is there any life advice or perspectives that you would like to leave for viewers of this video?
That's a great question. I think the life advice I would have is, can I think about that one for a little more?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I think the life advice I would have is to be very conscious of the actions that you take and ultimately just try to have a set of actions that you take in your life that create a greater good for everyone. I'm someone who very strongly believes in the concept of karma, and that guides a lot of the actions that I take, whether it's something as small as like picking up a piece of trash or something bigger as like committing myself to a life of medicine. I really believe in the concept of leaving the world a better place than you came into it. And so I think, for anyone watching, I would just recommend really taking a second before every single action that you take, and saying, what is the best way that I can leave the world after this? And, if it's not the best action, sometimes that's okay, but striving to be better than who you were yesterday so that the world is a better place than it was yesterday.
Could you tell us a bit about some of your favorite memories with family?
Yeah, I think one of my most favorite memories is hiking with my family. We're from Seattle, Pacific Northwest, so like most other people, we hike a lot. And I think for our family especially, that's been something that's brought us together. Anytime my family will visit from the East Coast, the one tradition that we have is like we'll do a family hike, just because it's just been something that we've done almost every single holiday and just like on the weekends so often. And so I think one of my favorite memories is hiking this mountain called Mailbox Peak in Seattle. It's something that we had always sort of put off because as a family it's hard to do group hikes because especially when you have younger siblings, you're not sure if they can go up the entire mountain. You gotta help them with it. And so we had put it off until my youngest sister Bella, who is now 4, at the time she was 3, this was last year, and I just remember getting halfway up the mountain with my family that day and already looking up at how high we had gotten, but then also looking up at how much we still had to go and being like very nervous about whether we were going to make it. And then I realized that like we don't really have to finish the mountain. It's just the fact that we're here together. And so I think that day especially, we did end up finishing the mountain and it was really fun. But I think just like that day especially has been one of the memories that I have. And it's actually a lot of the pictures I have on my phone for my wallpaper are from that day. It's just a reminder of like how much sometimes it's not about the actions that what you're doing that day, it's just who you're doing them with. And so I think I've taken that into my day-to-day life of just like whoever I'm doing something with, it's more so about the experience of doing it with them, not what we're doing. It doesn't have to be something crazy. It can just be enjoying the moment with friends or family. And so I think that's something that I've continued to take in, and I think that's because of that memory with my family.
So there's this really wonderful theme of family and connecting with patients and leaving a collective good in the world. In what ways do you strive to leave a collective good and to help support people and heal outside of medicine and healthcare?
That's a great question. I think the way that I strive to leave a collective good outside of medicine are honestly the same principles that I apply within medicine. So taking the time to listen to people, leading with an open mind. I think one particular experience that I think has really helped me with that was in college, actually, when I was working as a computer lab assistant. It's such a customer-focused role. You know, you're working in a computer lab and you're just helping fix like IT issues or whatever patients, not patients, whatever these students come in with. Maybe they need help checking out a book or they need help printing out something, but really it's just like so focused on them. And I think that was my first like real job, and especially like being such a, again, customer focused role. You're really just listening to the student and seeing what they need, right? You're guiding them. They're coming to you for help and you're guiding them. And so I think being in that role really taught me to just listen to people and to understand their situation. I think that's something that I've tried to embody now outside of that job, as a medical student, as just a student here on campus, is just trying to learn from other people's experiences and connect with them on a very personal level. I think that's my way of doing, good, is just creating a community and a space where people feel safe. That's my best way of doing it, whether it's, just dropping off ice cream for a friend after I've made a new batch, or, going on a hike with friends that I just met. It's just something that I think once you find that connection with someone and you find that you share the same interest, I think that's what builds that collective good. So I think just first building those relationships, that's something that I'm still striving to do on campus.
So you mentioned a belief in karma and the impact that karma has in the world. Could you explain to us a little bit more your belief in karma and how it may impact your life and other people's lives?
Yeah. I think a good way to sum it up, if anyone's ever seen The Good Place, that's something that I think roughly embodies the way that I sort of see things, is like there's a net good that action could have, or net bad. And that sort of accumulates. And so I think for me, I don't know when I came up with this, sort of intrinsic idea, but this idea of karma has always, for as long as I can remember, been something that's guided the way that I see the world. And it's not like, every single action I take, I'm like, that's negative 20 points, plus 20 points. It's nothing as technical as that, but I think just roughly I'm like, is this something that I would want to see someone else doing to me, or is this something that I think from a very neutral perspective, I think is a good action? And so I think that's something that I've sort of used as a compass, a moral compass for myself. And I think that's something that I'm still trying to perfect. It's not like I'm perfect by any means, and I'm certainly not. But it's something that I think has roughly helped me with tough decisions in my life, is just thinking about whether this is going to have a impact on the greater good in a positive way, in a way that I would want to leave the world in. So I think that's something that it's a way I lead my life, and I think I benefit from it, and it's something that I hope to share with others, and see if they can also benefit from it. So yeah, I think that's pretty much my view on karma.
All right, well, I think those are all the questions that we have for you.
Sweet. Thanks for letting me be a part of this.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bill.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
All right, cool. I wasn't sure if I should say more.
Nah, you're good.
Okay.
All right, Bill, so the first question we have for you is,
all right, hold on.
All right. We got this. Bill, the first question we have for you is...
No. That was entirely me. That was entirely me.
Good. If you start smiling, I'm going to start smiling. this.
Yeah.
Get in the zone.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
No, that wasn't me this time. That was you.
that was me this time.
Okay.
All right.